Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today as usual. You know, let me tell you something, guys. Every time, usually by 2 o'clock or so, I think I have my show together. And as I'm doing my show, I continue to look at other stuff that's happening. And then I go ahead and, I'll be scanning TikTok. I'll be scanning Instagram. I'll be scanning the news files, etc. And it always turns out that, you know what? I love this TikTok. I need to show this stuff to my folks. And then I go ahead and have to rewrite a couple of things. And then it means all the other places that I wrote something, I've got to change. But you know what? You guys come first, man. We got to do that. We have to be flexible and we have to be willing to change things around. That's how it goes. But anyhow, welcome aboard. First in the house today was El Señor Patrick Magner, who says, meow. He is from Houston, Texas. Second in the house today was AVQ. El Señor Michael Rutnan from Brooklyn, New York. He says, apologies, I have an away day. Catch you next week. So he chimes in to chime out. I love that guy. He's like our historian. He keeps tabs on what's going on out here. Thank you, Michael. Yvette Avery Herod is here from Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you, beautiful, for being here. Yvette, is there an update on the stuff you were running for, etc.? I would love to hear that. Let's see what else we got here. Joe from Los Angeles, California. Welcome aboard. Saw you this morning as well. Lisa Blair from Atlanta, Georgia. By the way, Yvette is from Atlanta, Georgia as well. Lee the Bearcat is from Austin, Texas. He said, did Going Woke get Howard Stern's show canceled? Maybe say like Rogan is better financially? No, he's just old. Things change, Eventually people get different tastes. When you're working for corporate media, if things drop off, they throw you out the door. If you're on your own, like we are, there are some people that I haven't heard from that were dedicated listeners to Politics Done Right 12 years ago. I don't hear from them often anymore. They've gone to something else. And there are some who have come back. There are some who are on and off. That's just how this kind of a thing is when you're an influencer or when you have a program. There are people that are there absolutely every day. There are some that are there once a week. There are some that come and leave, and we can see all of that, right? There are some that are no longer there, and there are some who come back. A few days ago, one of my absolute first listener, when I say first, I mean in the first group of listeners, when I was at a Canadian online station only. That's before I got on air with the KPFT 90.1 FM. The program used to be called Liberal Politics Done Right. And when I joined the Coffee Party and I wanted to put the show on the Coffee Party network, I dropped the liberal Politics Done Right and just became Politics Done Right because we wanted to make it that everybody know that the program was for them. And even when I called it Liberal Politics Done Right, it still was for everybody, So, but anyhow, and every so often, I see a few of my early folks from the Coffee Party days come back from the Move to Amend days. come back. I had another show at Move to Amend called Move to Amend Reports. And all those people from Move to Amend Reports came into Politics Done Right, and some of them migrated to other programs that were in the same start time slot. So it comes and goes. The good thing I can say is that I have a core that have always been here, and I have a core that have said, Egberto, I'm leaving you for a while because, I just want to check a few things out and then come back. That's the name of the game, right? You keep people informed. And, whether they're listening to the program live or they're listening to it on podcast, or in our case, we don't only do videos. And that's the interesting thing, right? There are a lot of influencers that's all they do. They're a TikTok influencer and that's all they do. They have you have professors on TikTok that are damn good, but that's all they do. TikTok. What I did, or what I found necessary to do because of my small audience, is to do all platforms and tie them into my newsletters, my write-ins, and everything all together. Because again, politics isn't the most sexy thing, right? And especially the kind of politics that we do here, which is kind of, we don't have a loyalty to any side, really. I'm a progressive, very progressive, but if progressives screw up, I'm going to call it out. If conservatives screw up, I'm going to call it out. If I screw up, I'm going to call it out. And what happens when you're that kind of a way, it is hard for you to get some folks that are, I don't want to call folks sycophants. I want to call them, there are some people on all sides, and again, much worse on the right side, but on all sides, that if you don't follow or toe the line 100%, they're gone. And, the market is big. The market is huge, right? There is a lot of space. There are a lot of people talking. So you can go listen to what you want to hear. If you always want to hear something that is the way you think, the internet is big enough that you can find that. Now, when you find Politics Done Right, you're going to find a very progressive program, but you're also going to find a program that if a right winger or a MAGA folks come on here and they say something smart, and they say something that, and even if they correct me for something that I'm wrong about, not because they're MAGA, not because they're conservative, not because they're an anarchist or whatever, means that I'm not going to take it up. I'm going to, if I have to apologize, if I have to call it out, whatever I have to do to be making sure that the audience is not getting the things that they absolutely want to hear. If that's the kind of program you like, that's what we're doing here. I have no problems being wrong. I have no problems being corrected when I'm wrong. And I have no problems calling out folks who don't want to be called out, including folks on the left side, which I have many a times. So there you go. All right, let's see. We also have Eric Hayes in the house from King Wadatascasita. Our brother Harry Denson from Missouri City, Texas says, good afternoon, Egberto, activists of the Hacienda of Politics Done Right. Look forward to another edifying show before the weekend. I so love you, man. This is right. And to let us engage with all our listeners around the world. And that's what we do. That's what we intend to do and continue. Paul Fleming from Powder Springs, Georgia. How you doing, Paul? Paul has called in a few times. And, Paul, a very smart listener as well. Thank you for being here, Paul. And thank you for all those links that you constantly give us. Lee Grant. Welcome aboard, my brother Lee Grant. Lee Grant is a full-fledged, respectable MAGA brother. Lee Grant, full-fledged, respectable MAGA brother. And that's not only because he's a consistent supporter financially of Politics Done Right, this left-wing progressive thing. But again, this is the kind of stuff that I'm showing, the complexity of humanity. Right. And one of these that I've had Lee Grant in our Ask Egberto Anything on Saturday. And he's a nice guy. It's hard to see how the brain is wired. Now, some people give me a hard time. I would tell folks, those people that are watching bad things happen, they're going to have to atone. Brother Lee Grant will have to atone when he finds out that a lot of things that he's supporting with Brother Trump is wrong. And I will hold him accountable, even as he's a great supporter, right, Lee? And that's my job. I'm going to call you out, right? Now, so we're going to do that. We're going to do that here. But anyway, welcome aboard Lee Grant from Montgomery County, my MAGA brother. Let's see, Mike Cisak. We haven't cracked Mike at all because Mike gives me a hard time. Mike Cisak. I've called him out a lot. Anyhow, let's see what else we got here. Who else is in the house? Carl Cox. Carl Cox is in Georgia, in Riverdale, Georgia. Likes to give me a hard time. I had to call him out a couple of times, and he's a progressive. He's a good progressive, but I've had to call him out too. And some of you have called me out. All right, I'm going to get into the show in a minute. Welcome aboard, Ricks, Beth Andrews, Robert Murray, Linda, Joe from California says, I remember I got truly upset at you once and even canceled, but you immediately dialogued and all was cleared up. Joe, that's what it's all about. That is what it's all. I'm not going to say things that make you happy every time, and you're not going to say things that make me happy all of the times. But if we are, and that goes with your family, etc., it's not going to happen all the time. Lee J. Verrett, welcome aboard. Alan Thornton, welcome aboard. Jackie, welcome aboard. Christian Wagon, welcome aboard. Loretta Viner, Femke, Ernie Boxall says, America is MAGA, according to the man on CNN. We see that the president's FBI are uncovering an SHIT load of Obama dirty tricks. You watch too much right-wing media, Ernie Boxall. But, unfortunately, you're going to be very disappointed when you see nothing comes about all the propaganda they give you out there. Beth Andrews says, I especially appreciate that while you welcome all points of view, you do not allow disinformation to be propagated. No way we're going to do that, sis. Beth, and I've been called out by my good friend who had coffee with Egberto. He did a coffee with Egberto from KPFT, my brother Patrick Magner. Patrick would call up and say, I got to disagree with you on that, Egberto. You were wrong on that one. Or, hey, don't let them say that, Egberto. That is wrong. I mean, so sometimes I don't call some folks out, and I think you guys need to do it. And of course, there's Brother Brackens who's calling in right now. He gives me a straight up sometimes, and he's, how you doing, Brother Brackens?
Yeah, just getting my call in a little early today because I know I'm gonna probably get a little busy, and I don't want to fall too late behind on the show while I'm trying to multitask. But I heard you giving everybody shout outs, and I want to actually second that and shout out to all those MAGA brothers, maybe MAGA sisters out there, but I don't think I hear many of them. But those MAGA brothers out there that's actually contributing to the show, that shows me something. That shows me that, deep down in your heart, even though your side is wrong, our side is right, you're at least willing to contribute to the cause of spreading what we believe. And I think just like the people that would have voted for Bernie Sanders that voted for Trump, I feel like a lot of these MAGA, nut jobs, I call them, but you're a little bit nicer. I feel like if they actually had a politician or had somebody that's authentically who they believe they are when they're in public, I think we would be better off. That's why you see somebody like Mondami getting further ahead in the polls. And basically, it's about authenticity. And I think some of these MAGA brothers are just tired of the establishment fake politicians. Unfortunately, they chose one that used the guise of authenticity, but he's authentically, if I may say it, we're not on radio, an asshole.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? I heard there's a TikToker, very smart TikToker. I think he's a professor, who qualified that MAGA is there to give a big finger to the system. In other words, just like you and I know the system is rigged, MAGA, you ask Lee Grant and all these others, they understand the system is rigged. But culturally speaking, the way Donald Trump has used them into believing this rigging, and even many on the right have used them to call out the rigging, because the ones that they're supporting actually are part of the folks rigging it, they use the racial, the ethnicities, the gender, and all these other things to instill hate in these folks. I was listening to a caller that called a congresswoman, and it went so fast in TikTok that I wanted to search and find it for all of you, right? And I couldn't. But here's the kicker from this congresswoman. What it turns out is she got a call, and she played the call on TikTok so that people could see how crazy things are. This MAGA woman called her out, you hate America. Why do you hate us so much? Why do you hate MAGA so much? Why do you hate America? Why do you want to do these things that are wrong? And I'm listening to this tape that this congresswoman is playing about this hateful call she receives. And I am feeling sorry for the person who is cussing her out. And why am I feeling sorry for her? I am feeling sorry for her because, brother, that woman have been so fooled by what she hears on right-wing media. So fooled that is how she felt. And it reminds me, I'm going to let you talk in a fixed feeling, but it reminds me of the conversation that I tell everybody, and it's in my book. Several of my books, I think I told that same story, where I'm talking to this woman. This woman sees me in Starbucks all of the times, writing my book, and she don't know what I do. And she asked me what I do. And we got into a conversation about different topics, including healthcare. And she's starting to agree with all the things we're talking about. And I'm letting her lead the conversation, etc. And at the end, I feel guilty and I tell her, ma'am, I just want you to know, because I'm in Kingwood, very conservative area. She thinks I'm one of the Republican kind of folk out here, etc. And I had to look at her and I said, ma'am, I just want you to know I am probably one of the most progressive liberal folks you've ever spoken to. And she turns red like a cherry. And she looks at me straight in the eye and she says, but you are so nice. And that was in direct contrast with the hateful woman who called this congresswoman. And she just showed me what this woman I met in Starbucks is all about. They think we hate them. They think the caricature that they have of progressives have them that we want to take away something from them. We hate them. And if if one of us don't bend, and I am willing to bend, okay, for the better good. But if none of us bend, that we would be fighting each other on false terms. Exactly what the oligarchy needs, exactly what the capitalist economic system needs, because it cannot prevail if we get together. Bacon's Rebellion. Anyway, finish her up for me before I go to the video, brother.
Yeah, well, in the graceful words of Mr. T, I pity the fool, and you pitied that fool. And I actually heard him say that in an interview. He says that not to down talk people, because he's actually a very God-fearing man. He say that pity is the greatest form of a gift that God can give a man. So when he says, I pity the fool, he's at, I feel sorry for you for your ignorance, basically. And that's basically the way I kind of take it and use it in that context.
And that is true. That is true. And I think Beth Andrews says the truth is that we all actually have more ideals in common than otherwise. And she's right. But anyway, thank you, my brother. And thank you for listening, promoting all that good stuff. You take care. Okay, brother?
Thanks for the time. You too.
Have a good one now. Robin Morrison, welcome aboard. Chris C., welcome aboard. Suzanne Gugic, Karen Andrews, Jude on or Nora, welcome aboard. If I miss you and you want to be called out, just drop a line. Tell me the city and state that you're from. Mike Cisak, welcome aboard. Bridge MCP says, woke is not something new. It's over 100 years old. The wokest woke was Jesus. Exactly. I'm woke. I am proud to be woke. It means I'm awake. It means I can see things that we should all be seeing, right? I should see things that we should all be seeing. Let's see what else we got here. Para ver. It's not MAGA versus wokeness. Don't fall for the trap. But don't forget, you and I are supposed to have coffee sometime, Lee Grant. I really, really want to sit down with you with a cup of coffee, like I did with some others. And you specifically, I want to sit down with a cup of coffee. Bridge says, Egberto Willies, let's remember among all U.S. adults, around 16% embrace the MAGA label, which has seen fluctuation over time. And that's the thing. Our mainstream media, el caso del medio, el fracaso de nuestra, I forgot what news was in Spanish. Oh my God, what's wrong with me? But the failure of our news, it makes MAGA seem larger than they are. Joe says, speaking with MAGA is hard because if they know you're liberal, my MAGA friend told me that everything I say feels like a jab, no matter if it's not. It's not assumed that being attacked. And that's where you build relationships, right? I have relationships with MAGA folks. And the one thing I can say I have been able to establish is they know that if you listen to my programs, especially on KPFT, I try to, as stern as I am, I try to let folks know, no, I love humanity. I love you. MAGA folks, I love you too, right? So I'm not trying to do anything to harm you. Noticias. There you go, Brother Grant. I tell you, man, I love you, man. All right. I am trying to, and I see that, Joe, where people, when you're talking to folks and they know you're progressive and they're thinking everything that you say is a jab. And that's where the listening come in, right? And I talk about that. Let me do a plug for my book. That's what I talk in How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relative Friends and Neighbors, right? I talk about some of that in there. When you're talking to these folks and you're listening to these folks and you let them talk, it was like that woman in Starbucks. I made her do the talking and I asked her questions, sort of leading questions. And those leading questions, believe it or not, brought her exactly to our position, because our position was the logical position. I want you to think about that. I made her do the talking. I made her do the thinking. I made her answer the questions. I wasn't telling her the answers. I was asking the questions, albeit leading. And when she came up and it was like, oh my God. I remember when I started to feel guilty. And then I said, look, man, I'm super progressive. And she realized that the answers that she came up with were those progressive answers. Bruce says we all might agree with MAGA, but how and at whose expense? Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I quite understand where you're going there, Brother Bruce, but well, I'm going to let that one slide for a minute because I'm not sure if I get what you're saying there. Identity politics has no place, is what Eric Hayes says. Identity politics is important. Until identities don't matter, identity politics is a must. I repeat, until identities no longer matter, until a woman has 100% access to success as a man, and specifically a white man, as a black man, a black woman, a Latino, and all of these has 100% access to success. Okay? Identity matters, because what's holding back each identity from their ability for full success are based on the fallacies about identities. So no, you're absolutely wrong about that, Eric Hayes. Provably, absolutely. All right, let me play this video from Congresswoman Delia Ramirez. Delia Ramirez is wonderful. Check this out and then we'll take it on the other side. Welcome to another edition of Politics and Right. My name is Willies, your host. Today we're honored to have Delia Ramirez, Representative Congresswoman Delia Ramirez in the Chicago area. Welcome to Politics and Right.
Happy to be here.
Well, look, first of all, I want to say that right now in our country, we're in a difficult state in every possible way. And what we're looking for and what we're hoping for is that we have representatives who stand for something and representatives that are working for us. And I think you have become a template for that, being a member of the Progressive Caucus and supporting policies that we all want. Talk to me about what you see as the problem today.
I think that we have entered fascism.
Let me stop you.
Yeah.
You didn't say that we could. You said we have.
We're here. We're here. We are at a place where when you dissent against this president and against what the White House is doing, they will attempt to retaliate, intimidate. We are at a place where there is a consolidation of power, and what the president wants, the president gets. And at a time where the courts, Congress, and the executive branch are all in so many ways just giving the power to one person, and that's Donald Trump. We are at a time where corruption seems to be normalized, and the president of the United States is literally making profits, major profits, off of the people with congressional legislation that makes it legal.
Now, you have no problem articulating those issues. Why do you find that more people that should be doing that just aren't? In other words, why are we just allowing these things to occur?
You know, I think that we're in a dangerous place because we have to be careful that we're not normalizing what's happening.
That's the question, right?
And that we don't normalize and we also don't become paralyzed by it, because every morning it's a new headline that feels like it's worse than the headline from the day before. And sometimes people tend to survive or to attempt to keep going. They seem to be normalizing things. Oh, well, it's Trump. Yeah, I saw that coming. Okay, you may have seen that coming, but what will you do to attempt to stop it? And I think that this is a moment where elected leaders have to ask themselves, perhaps look at themselves in the mirror and ask, am I doing everything in my power to push back and oppose this fascist takeover of our democracy and our country? And if it takes them a second to respond, maybe they need to do more.
Well, let me ask you that, not about you. Let me ask you, is the opposition party doing what it needs to do to confront this president?
I think that the becoming of an opposition party, I hate the word minority party because it gives us excuses not to do enough.
I never accept the word minority party.
And for those of us that have learned and understood and have seen other authoritarians in power, we know that the other party is the opposition party. It's not the minority party. They're the ones opposing, obstructing fascism. So I would say that we are slowly moving into the direction of becoming an opposition party. I think more democratic leaders are beginning to change their terms and their tune. And I think a good example of that was the attempts to block the rescissions package, right? That further cut resources and services. The opposition to the big, ugly betrayal bill that a number of us throughout the night attempted to push every amendment to block it. But ultimately, it passed. And so I think we're doing more than we did back in January, and we still have to do more. I'll give you a quick example. Why is it that we are voting for bills that Republicans bring on the Monday or Tuesday? It's called suspension bills. What are suspension bills? They are bills that require 2/3 of members of Congress to vote in favor in order to pass. Why are we voting for them? Because we are telling them, oh, okay, well, I'll vote for that bill that the Republican needs for free. That's what I'm saying. Like, why I say for free is anything they want from us, they're taking everything from our people. So if they need something from us, we need Medicaid for our constituents.
I mean, it's simple. It's a simple request, right? And that's why I opened up the conversation saying some are fighting and some are not. Now, it's not good. It doesn't look kind right now when we really point out some of those that are not. Let me give a good example, and maybe I don't know if you want to comment about this, but I think New York is a dangerous example of what I call an establishment party that may be, let me see how to put this kindly, maybe losing its way. Because how do you not support the person who is decidedly the one elected by the people?
You're talking about this convenient, when it's convenient, vote blue no matter who.
Oh, but, you had to bring that. Wow.
But somehow, if it's not the blue that I like, maybe I'm not ready.
Representative, when I'm interviewing Democrats, I try not to say certain things because I don't know where your position is exactly. Can I just say thank you?
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for saying thank you.
I want to say thank you because that's exactly what we need to hear. We need to be consistent. We need to be constant. And that is something that we don't see often enough. Now, I know you support things like Medicare for all. You support things like family leave. You support the things that people are really asking for.
Like a run phrase. I support that.
Exactly. I like that. Exactly right. But the thing about it is this. Most Americans do, whether Republican or Democrat. The progressive value is not called progressive or actually what Americans support.
Well, that's the point. In November, when people went to go vote, people went and said, the current system isn't working for me.
Right.
I'm going to vote for who I think is going to change the system. And they fell in different places, right? And some didn't vote because they thought that their options were not going to further advance their needs. The point is, it doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat. The rent is too damn high.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat. You shouldn't have to be choosing between paying for your mortgage and going to the doctor.
Exactly.
But people are worried about the student debt, so they're not going to college.
Yeah.
Or they're quitting halfway through. People are pissed off that they're working 3 damn jobs and barely making it.
Yes.
So the point is, these progressive policies that they try to demonize us for supporting are the kind of policies that everyday people in this country have been demanding for years. And we've allowed corporations to buy the opposition so that they don't pass.
And buy some in just about every darn party so that it doesn't pass.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Yeah, that doesn't, the buying elections isn't a Republican issue. It is a political issue of all parties, of both parties.
Wow. You're a dangerous politician. You know that?
Because I speak truth.
You are a dangerous politician, young lady. But I'm from Panama. Okay, I won't, or I am conscious about going back to visit home. I'm an American citizen with an American passport that says born in Panama. Okay, what that means is because of the administration that we have, because of a guy that pulls people off the streets, irrespective of whether they're Americans or not, if they have an accent, yo tengo un acento, if they look a little bit different than what a traditional American would look like, that's what he does. What can you do about that in where you're at? What do we have planned? What do Democrats have planned to do about that in the opposition party, not our party, in the opposition party?
I think that the easiest thing for me to say is that Democrats should be standing up for people's rights, regardless of legal status, period.
Right.
And in this moment, it means if you believe that a person should not be abducted, that an agency should not use your physical appearance, your location, or your occupation to target you, because that's called racial profiling.
Yes.
Then you should be denouncing and defunding ICE. You should be calling for the defunding of ICE. You should be demanding hearings and oversight. One of the things that I really do want to celebrate in this moment is that there is a class action right now between a number of members of Congress who've been denied access to the detention centers. And we need more of those.
Right.
Just because they didn't let us in, so what? Oh, they didn't let me in, so I'm not going to go. No,
you keep
going.
Right.
And keep demanding. And just because Kristi Noem shared a tweet attacking me, am I supposed to not continue to challenge the injustices? No, keep sharing them, because they want to silence us. And they win when we normalize, and they win when we let them get away with it. And so we need to be using more legal action. We should be deciding, how do we make sure that the local courts are also filing lawsuits when they're violating state laws and creating these temporary holding centers like they're doing in the state of Illinois? Or putting people in hotels.
Right.
And then having guards and security blocking their exits so they can't leave the hotel.
Silence is complicity. But here's something else, Representative. And this is what drives me crazy. I would like to know, when will Democrats also tell the real story? The reason to have these detention centers, the reason to have these encampments is to make money for a whole lot of Trump's friends. The reason to have this Gestapo pulling people off the ground is to have more money for the things that the people who are providing the private services that he's doing. The reason he has a budget that is the third largest. Again, if ICE was an army, it would be the third largest army funded.
Just think about that.
Yeah, think about that. What is he trying to do? And why as I see it, and I see folks like you and a few other, I'll call you progressives, doing the job, why don't more do it? And what can you do to shame them into doing it?
Well, I really can't shame them into doing it. I think that their constituents will continue to push them to do more, and they should continue to ask us to do more. But this is a defining moment for every person that's in an elected position.
Yes.
Where were you when a fascist attempted to destroy the very fabric of what we say we stand for? And if you can't specifically and concretely demonstrate the ways you're fighting back, then you're complicit to that. And I think that a number of my colleagues are fighting back. I think more of them are pushing back. And I don't think we should be insulted when a constituent doesn't know the things we're doing. If you feel like you're doing everything you can and your constituent asks you what you're doing, then tell them. Don't get intimidated. Don't get mad at them.
Right.
Don't get upset because they're coming at you, not a Republican. You're their congressperson. Exactly. They should go to the congressperson that represents them. So look, I think that this is a moment where we need to ask ourselves, why are we in this position? Republican and Democrat. Why do you choose to leave your family every Monday morning and go to Washington, D.C.? Why do you go into debate? Who do you say you are and what are you committed to? And when history writes itself about this moment? What will history say about what you did and didn't do?
Delia Ramirez, Representative Congresswoman Delia Ramirez. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you so kindly for speaking. And you know what? We need more of you.
Gracias. Thank you. We'll get more hopefully next in 2026.
Yes. All of our country's problems, from polarization to ignorance on domestic and international issues to a complete misunderstanding of our economic and healthcare systems, are a direct result of a derelict mainstream media that too often bend over backwards to support corporate or bought politicians' wants as opposed to the people's needs for real information to make their lives better. Independent media is the only solution to inform truthfully and factually. Why? Because our loyalties are to you, the ones who fund us with small dollar contributions and subscriptions. Please consider supporting our independent media platforms by subscribing to our Egberto Off the Record newsletter at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Again, that is politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. It's an investment that pays incalculable dividends. Welcome. Absolutely so, folks. Absolutely so. So please, again, support us however best you can. We need a ton more subscriptions that we don't quite have. Okay, Brother Rudnin is back, and he has a piece that he wants me to put on the screen. And when Brother Rudnin asks me to put a piece on, it's usually research, and I do it. Here we go. Top issues contributing. We spoke about Mandami in the interview, and these are the top issues that he speaks about. 89% of the people, again, top issues contribute to Mandami's support. Why do they support him? 89%, his plans to lower costs. 86%, his plans to tax the wealthy. 62%, support for Palestinian rights. The humanity thing, baby. The humanity thing. His personality and energy, 60%. I love that. I love that. It's a good reminder. You're absolutely right. Hey, I see so many things, Michael Rudnin, I forget. All right. His debate performance, 51%. You know, when I hear performance, it always gets me right because you have good people with bad performances. So I'm glad that performance is way down there. Social media presence, 31%. I love that. That means it's not a fad. Ads for him on TV, 21%. That just shows that the dereliction of our old style media is not there. And conversation with someone working on volunteering for, that one concerns me a bit. Only 20% says that, right? That means I think he is the magnetic personality with just 20% of people supporting him because of the people who are coming in. That number, if I were Mandami, even though he's probably going to win big, that is something that I think all of us have to learn, myself as well. You are one person. All of us are one person. We have to be able to build a network so that number that you see there should be way up. In other words, Mandami can only be in one place at one time. Only in one place at one time. So therefore, he has to build a good surrogate network. A good surrogate network. Luckily, I can say that the only reason we are as far as we are with the type of program that we are is because I think we are growing a good surrogate network, right? Right, Bridge MCP, right, El Señor Ruddin, right, El Señora, and right to even Lee Grant, surrogate networks, man. Surrogate networks, man. So that's what it takes, man. That's what it takes. Paul Fleming, all of you guys, part of our surrogate network. If I didn't call you up, forgive me. All my new Substackers that have joined up and signed up for the newsletter. You guys don't understand the impact that as supporters that you have in allowing this message to go out. I don't think your coffee I call it a coffee a month. I don't think that coffee that you give, you understand the depth of support that really provides. Hey, Magna, you're calling on the wrong number, I think, man. Yeah, you have to call on the 281-823-7747. Otherwise, the people can't hear it. 281-823-7747. 281-823-7747. All right, that's the number to call in for anybody who wants to call in. I have I have two TikTok short ones to show you, but let me wait a minute to see if Magner is going to call again on the right number this time. Magner, we're waiting. So, but Let me see. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, Magna, the number is 281-823-7747. Hey guys, I've got like 3 different numbers to call in because we have the morning show and then we have another show that we do as well. So I'm gonna wait about 30 seconds more to see if Magna gets it. 281-823-7747. 281-823-7747. All right, I tell you what, I'm going to go with the other where is it at? Oh my God. I think I got to get to TikTok before I run out of time, but there we go. All right, Magner, I got you now. Whoops, I got you now. Talk to me, Magner.
Well, I've been waiting almost 24 hours to hear Uju call in. I'm excited to hear her report.
She didn't call in.
I want to make sure. I want to make sure that I understood that Michael Cisak was actually saying that because a few select black folks that are already well off, when they come over here, if they do well, that this isn't a racist country. Is that what he was saying?
That's exactly what he's saying. That is, I mean, it's a standard trope that they always use. They use the and that's, let me tell you whose fault a lot of this is, Patrick. The what I call the black sellouts, right? They allow them to be paid off so that they can look down at all the other black folk, and they do it with women. They do it with gays, they do it with everybody. The idea is that we put up some representative black person that most black people cannot attain, and then say you guys are just terrible because you can't attain that. To which, for Mike Cisak, I said he doesn't have to turn his head too far to see a whole bunch of people who look like him in desolate conditions. He doesn't have to look too far to see that. But go ahead, brother Patrick.
Well, the simplicity of that mindset is almost embarrassing. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. It was encouraging her to call in.
Well, here he is. I guess what? Here he is. Man, you guys gonna mess with my show. You guys are messing with my show. I have a couple of TikToks I wanted you to see, and now I won't be able to see all of it. Okay, Cisak, make your point real quick.
All right. Question. Why is it when these black Africans come from Africa and do extremely well here in the U.S.?
Yes.
Even though they came from poor backgrounds over in their original country.
Yes.
But they do extremely well here.
Uh-huh.
The Niger Delta.
That's all I'm asking.
Okay, let me first give, because brother Patrick brought it up first. I'm going to let Patrick take the first crack at it, then I'll answer it. So, brother Patrick, go ahead. As a white guy, Patrick, I want the white guy to answer it first, the progressive white guy to answer it first.
Well, a lot of the black folks that come from the Niger Delta and North Africa, they get here because they already have a lot of money. And because they have a lot of money, they've been
No, they don't.
Okay.
Actually,
95% of them coming here are poor.
That's not true at all. That's patently false.
Yes, because I looked it up.
I don't care what you found. I'm telling you, as a black guy from Panama, let me tell you the story, guys. Okay? Because there's a lot of misinformation there. The truth of the matter is, when you are coming from these countries, what happens many a times is you have a lot of people that get together with the family, and they invest in you because they saw something in you that excelled. And a lot of family members would put together to get you to the United States. It's very expensive to come to the United States especially when you're coming from a place like Africa. But let me also tell you the part that is so, as brother Patrick said, made your argument, my brother Cisak, so simplistic. Because again, if you take a look at, let me put this in white America terms, okay? In white America terms, the white Americans that excel you see on TV, the white Americans that excel you see live in Houston and all the major cities in good, nice places. But the white Americans that are living as paupers, you find in Appalachia that don't get TV time. The white Americans that don't make it, you find in rural areas. And these are people that the right activates as the problems. The reason you are doing bad in Appalachia is because of what those black folks who are doing bad in the ghettos are those Latinos and Asians that are doing bad in the barrios. It's a fight against ourselves, CSAC, and you have fallen for it. The blacks that come over here and other foreigners that come over here, they got I don't want to say they got the lucky card, but if you go to if you go to my country, if you go to my city, you see a lot of people that look like me who are in dire straits and look no different than the folks in the ghettos and the barrios. Okay? It's so important for us to understand these concepts. And what they're doing to poor white America is they're fooling you. They want you to believe that there's something wrong with black Americans. Well, are there something wrong with the white Appalachian? Are there something wrong with the white rurals? Go ahead. Make your point, sir.
Okay, you just made my point.
Okay. What's the point I made?
You did. You just made my point. It doesn't matter the skin color.
Oh,
it depends on how well you work and how you get along.
But that's not true.
In the system, as far as economics.
No. That's not true, brother.
You just pointed it out. It doesn't matter on the skin color. It's what you said.
No. I also in my narrative, sir.
Whether you're poor white, skin, poor black, whatever it might be.
No,
it doesn't matter.
Simplicity. Sir, brother. Listen again. Listen,
now
please.
You're in denial.
No, please listen.
See?
We're talking. We're conversing.
Thank you.
Okay, be quiet now. All right, here's the deal. I am trying to tell you that the reason Appalachia is in the state that it is, the reason that that folks in the ghettos, and by the way, all black people are not poor. Only 30-something%, or I don't know what percent, but it's higher than whites. But most black folks are just fine. Most white folks are just fine. Most everybody are just fine, even as we're all struggling. But here's the thing that I'm trying to say. Yeah. The reason for the ones that are struggling, brother, is a systemic failure of the economic system. Okay, because we have decided to leave them as
then point out the systemic part because you keep.
Wait, I don't have to look. Hey, no, I don't. You simply don't understand.
You do.
I explain it. Look at how much I've invested into explaining it.
You can't do the logic.
Okay, I tell you what, we're out of time for real, brother. There's one video I want to show, right? But I'm out of time, so I'm going to ask you to call another time, CSAC. But notice you're a strong MAGA, and I always give you a chance to speak respectfully, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And like I said,
hang up now, brother.
Thank you,
brother. Hang up. Let's let Patrick finish. Patrick, finish up, brother.
I'll just make a point. I have an Indian friend that's a proctologist, and his wife is Indian. And one thing that he told me once that really hit me hard was he said that nobody ever smiles at him like I did.
Wow.
And so he's successful, but everybody treats him like trash.
You know something?
He is dark.
Well, you know what? It's so funny. You and I have been out for coffee and that sort of stuff. You are, in fact, a good guy. And in fact, your work is important. So we'll talk some other time. Let me play this last TikTok that I want to get out there. All right. I talk to you later, brother.
Thank
Peace.
You.
All right. Okay, folks, there's a TikTok about language that I wanted to play. But since I can only play one of them, I'm going to play the one on, where is it at? Come on, Egberto. ¿Dónde diablo está? Porque lo quiero tocar ahora. I want you to listen to, oh, shoot, I didn't save that one. So I'm going to have to give you the one with the language. Check this one out, and then we'll take it on the other side. Let's go ahead.
Talking about how the changes in American English from British English were specifically implemented in order to serve the interests of business and empire, maintain the class distinctions, but eliminate them from the language so that people wouldn't notice. And also importantly, to conceal our sins. Take a look.
In American English, you are not as easily able to identify someone's class. That does not mean the class stopped existing in America after the Revolution, but American English erased the words for it and replaced them with new speech. This was intentional. Noah Webster studied linguistics as power. It is harder to describe inequality in American English. That makes it easier to live with. American English sounds clear on purpose, but that does not make it neutral. After the Revolution, the new elite wanted a language that did not remind them of British aristocracy, but they needed one that would serve capital. And that is what Americans grew up learning. So British English makes class distinct. You can tell where somebody grew up here based on their dialect and their vocabulary and the kind of references they make. American English aimed to erase class distinctions in speech. But also the language needed to support clear property instructions, emerging financial instruments, and enforceable legal terms. It's all trying to convince you that you're free and liberated and not English. The problem is that underneath this wording is the same British structure, just a new oligarch at the top.
I don't know about you, but when I watched this video, I immediately thought of George Carlin.
I don't like words that hide the truth. I don't like words that conceal reality. I don't like euphemisms or euphemistic language. And American English is loaded with euphemisms because Americans have a lot of trouble dealing with reality. Americans have trouble facing the truth. So they invent a kind of a soft language to protect themselves from it. And it gets worse with every generation. For some reason, it just keeps getting worse. I'll give you an example of that. There's a condition in combat, most people know about it. It's when a fighting person's nervous system has been stressed to its absolute peak and maximum, can't take any more input. The nervous system has either snapped or is about to snap. In the First World War, that condition was called shell shock. Simple, honest, direct language. 2 syllables. Shell shock. Almost sounds like the guns themselves. That was 70 years ago. Then a whole generation went by, and the Second World War came along, and the very same combat condition was called battle fatigue. 4 syllables now. Takes a little longer to say. Doesn't seem to hurt as much. Fatigue is a nicer word than shock. Shell shock. Battle fatigue. Then we had the war in Korea, 1950. Madison Avenue was riding high by that time, and the very same combat condition was called operational exhaustion. We're up to 8 syllables now, and the humanity has been squeezed completely out of the phrase. It's totally sterile now. Operational exhaustion. Sounds like something that might happen to your car. Then, of course, came the war in Vietnam, and thanks to the lies and deceit surrounding that war, I guess it's no surprise that the very same condition was called post-traumatic stress disorder. Still 8 syllables, but we've added a hyphen, and the pain is completely buried under jargon. Post-traumatic stress disorder. I'll bet you if we'd have still been calling it shell shock, some of those Vietnam veterans might have gotten the attention they needed at the time. The dump became the landfill. House trailers became mobile homes. Poor people used to live in slums. Now the economically disadvantaged occupy substandard housing in the inner cities.
When you call house trailers mobile homes and slums, transitioning neighborhoods, through that language, you can kind of forget that we're talking about poverty. Because poverty is depressing. So we don't actually want to use those words, because then that reminds people that there are a hell of a lot of poor people in this country, and there really don't need to be. Now brace yourselves for this one, y'all.
Murderers are called commandos. Arab commandos are called terrorists.
They're not lies. They're alternative facts. You're not a housewife. You're a stay-at-home mom. That sounds like a staycation, right? Like you're just hanging out at home eating bonbons with your kids and not engaging in any actual skilled labor, which makes it easy to devalue that labor and any people who are actually doing it. But the term housewife, that makes it sound like you're doing something. Stay-at-home mom, that sounds like you're relaxing.
Smug, greedy, well-fed white people have invented a language to conceal their sins. It's as simple as that.
Are you seeing this now? I'm going to show you.
It's about concealing. And a lot of it's all of this stuff is subtle, psychologically prepared to keep you in bondage. And that's what I hope Mike Cisak will learn sometime. Now, brother, Do You Lie says I'm too nice. I guess so I have somebody on the left saying I'm too nice. I have somebody on the right saying I'm too nice. I guess I must be doing something right. But again, the one thing I'm not doing is giving up the values. Folks, please do remember, support the program at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Again, that is politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. That is how you fund us enlightening, doing the work, as you know we actually do. So here we go. Let me put the link in the chat, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. I'm going to have this Sunday, we're going to do the Ask Egberto. Well, it's not. It's our paid subscribers on Sunday, probably at 6:00 again. Sometimes I open it up for everybody, depending on It is a special for our paid subscribers. Every Sunday we put it out and the live out. But again, lately I've been opening it to everybody. Just another program for you to chime into. We need your support. to keep this going as we are. We need some help to help us with all the videos that we put together, etc. And we need to be the independent media here Amy Goodman talked about all of the time to ensure we get the message out. And we'll continue doing this job. We'll continue doing this job honestly. We'll continue holding out a hand to make our movement bigger, larger, in such a manner that we can make a difference at the ballot box and take back the country as we should. So please join again, my dear brothers and sisters. Please join. I love you all. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this baby. I am what? Oh, I'm not even ready for that. You know how I end the show. I'm not even ready to do it yet. I got to set all the controls up. All right. I am what? Out. All of our country's problems, from polarization to ignorance on domestic and international issues to a complete misunderstanding of our economic and healthcare systems, are a direct result of a derelict mainstream media that too often bend over backwards to support corporate or bought politicians' wants as opposed to the people's needs for real information to make their lives better. Independent media is the only solution to inform truthfully and factually. Why? Because our loyalties are to you, the ones who fund us with small dollar contributions and subscriptions. Please consider supporting our independent media platforms by subscribing to our Egberto Off the Record newsletter at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Again, that is politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. It's an investment that pays incalculable dividends.